Recreating the learning environment. Hi, my name is Satish Patel. I'm the ICT coach at the Faculty of Arts at Uppsala University. Let me ensure that you understand that when I talk about net courses, I'm not talking about distance courses. For me, all courses are net courses, both campus and distance. Some courses are held on campus, some are at distance, and then we have even the blended learning format, where students learn online but meet on campus during a few occasions per term. In this presentation, think often about, well, what's in it for me? The things that are discussed here and exemplified. Is there any gain for you? Is there, for example, a time gain? Perhaps a variation in the way you do your work, a pedagogical gain? Or simply, is it more fun to work in this way? And if your answer is no to one or more of these, then you might want to consider, if at all, you want to adopt any of the suggestions that I have in this presentation. Also important is that different courses are run in different ways, so the way we teach them, the way we examine them, they vary. A course in philosophy compared to a course in grammar, compared to a course in chemistry or nursing, they'll be examined and taught in different ways. Sometimes in this presentation I speak in Swedish too, and here we're looking at two önskade förändringar that I would hope that you would get as a consequence of this presentation. One is regarding flipped classroom and the other one is regarding molnbaserad IKT-verktyg, cloud-based ICT tools. So as regards the flipped classroom, my hope is that for you this will become the default norm, not the exception in time to come. Pedagogically, this is not just what I think, it's proven by research studies in prestige journals that working in a flipped classroom environment will create an increase in performance by students and a better learning environment for tutors. Strategically, there are a lot of gains. You have learning objects that can be used by teachers but that have been made by other teachers. There's more agility for change, perhaps making a campus course into a distance course. The possibility to make more courses open and available online. The possibility to, for example, have varied course start dates as a result of making courses blended and not only campus-based. And then we have cloud-based technology. Having a budget at our university and at other universities for incorporating cloud-based ICT tools made by professionals. These are audio, video, text and diagram based, and they can be used for both campus and distance courses. It's a way for us to renew ourselves and for a dynamic form of course development if we can incorporate and use these tools. But first of all, a question. I was recently in Britain, and something that struck me when I was there is, why do the British, the English, insist on having two taps? One scalding hot and the other one freezing cold. I mean, what is it about that? This is Britain and this is everywhere else. And often I think, well, why? Why have the Brits or the English not taken on this change? And if I relate this to course delivery and examination, I can suggest and say, why hasn't this changed in the past 40 years? In 1993, the internet became available for everybody, and in time, the internet was more than just information outwards, it was something that you could interact with. But course delivery and examination looks a bit like this, at least in a Swedish context, and I think in a lot of other contexts as well. Mostly lectures, a few seminars, and a large exam at the end. The default interaction norm in higher education is lecturing. It doesn't mean that lecturers aren't good at what they do in terms of how they lecture and what they present, but this is a default norm. The expert is the one who's doing the talking, not the person who is doing the learning. And if we can move part of this expert advice, these expert lectures, to another time-space dimension, maybe we can free time in the classroom for more student activation. Couple this with the fact that we have memory-based exams, And in these large memory-based exams, I really question whether all the learning objectives can truly be met by one large exam at the end, especially if you don't intend to spend an hour or two on marking each and every individual exam. So this exam format, what's the modality? And oftentimes it's written in pen or pencil. The one time when students in this day and age use a pen and pencil is in the exam format. The rest of the time they tend to use tangent boards, keyboards. These exams, they provide reliability but not always validity. And reliability and validity can be defined as such. Press pause if you'd like to read this through. We live in a digital age. I think I can ask, are we replicating faulty course design in this digital age? And at Uppsala University, one of the things that we are considering buying at the moment is a tool which will lock a student's computer so that a student can bring their computer to this final exam and then take the exam. So it's recreating the large final exam but simply being able to type it digitally. This is an even more worse example of this, I think. When I say worse example, what I mean is, backing here, I'm not against using this, but I don't like the idea that this recreates that structure of the final exam. If this could be used as one of many exams, then great. Then we have proctoring services, and here we have people in blue t-shirts on minimum wage who look at students doing their exams because the student's webcam is activated, and these people will have to identify whether they think the student is cheating or not. I do not like this service at all because of the nature of the norm that it represents. It's this norm here with the large exam at the end. I'd be happier to see a situation where perhaps if we have an exam at all at the end, it's not so very great. We reduce the number of lectures. We increase dramatically the number of activation seminars where students are learning from each other. They are speaking, they are analyzing, they are discussing, they are justifying. They are doing learning in action. And we add together with this maybe some audio video tasks, a couple of e-quizzes, and then lots of video lectures. This is a flipped classroom form of format. It can take many realizations, but this is just an example. And here the interaction between tutor and student is taking place amongst multiple time-space dimensions. In the same time, in the same place, traditionally a lot of universities have interaction between tutor and student only in this environment. But can we add other time-space environments, for example, same time, different place? So we have the motivated student who is not well, who cannot come to the lecture because that person is not well or the child is unwell, but would like to participate, at least listen in on what's happening in the seminar room or the lecture room. So can we use that time-space dimension? And this could be a Skype call or Adobe Connect. Different time, same place is like a forum, a threaded discussion perhaps. A voice thread, one of the tools which I describe later on, is different time but same place. And then different time, different place, where lectures can be seen independent of time and place. This would then mean that in the same time, same place environment, it is not the lecturer that's doing the talking. The student is being activated. So this default interaction norm needs a bit of evolution. This is then the new default norm. Students working in groups, learning together, and the tutor helping. The tutor extending the student's knowledge and understanding further. We have then a flipped classroom. I hope the next slide, this slide, will convince you about what the flipped classroom really in effect is. Traditionally, in class where you have the tutor who is the expert, students are listening to a lecture. They're passive, but they're taking notes, and occasionally a few students, usually the same students, will ask questions or make comments. So this is when the tutor, the expert, is in the class with the students. But then oftentimes students will receive tasks to do where they have to apply their knowledge, apply actively their knowledge. But there there is no expert. They might be working individually, or they might be working with other students, but you, the expert, are not there. A flipped classroom is simply about moving these to a different area. So now the student can passively, so to speak, see your lecture, rewind, pause, see it again before the exam. If the person hasn't been able to make it to campus because of illness, they can still take part of your expert knowledge outside of the class. But then in class, students are solving problems. They're actively applying the knowledge, and you, the expert, you're there. David Black Schaefer from Uppsala University has a superb YouTube video, 30 minutes long, and he explains this very elegantly and well. I recommend that you see this. A traditional flipped classroom simply means that we use our resourced hours in a different kind of manner. And my encouragement here is that we use it to activate students in the learning process. But it does have pedagogical and organizational implications to work in this kind of manner. Course design becomes a little bit different because of the way we use our increased time for interaction and continuous assessment, for example. This is me when I'd incorporated a flipped classroom environment, and I would be meeting one group after the other for half an hour each, and it became very repetitive to me, stressed with discussions in each group for 30 minutes, and after 6 sessions I hated my subject, and this is often what I look like. I had to kind of like get a better solution for this, and a brainwave then. I produced something called the in-out seminar model. And how this worked was I would meet, for example, group A, B, and C between 8:45 and 10:15, and then groups D, E, and F a little bit later on. A, B, and C, we were in the same room together. I, the tutor, would call one of the groups to sit with me in the in-group, where students didn't know which group I was going to call first. I'd expected students to read the material beforehand, watch the video lectures, perhaps respond to some study questions, and these and other things were going to be discussed in the seminar. Every now and again I might turn around and ask a question to somebody in the out circle, or that person might pose a question, but the people in the in circle were primarily the people in focus. After 30 minutes, Group C goes out, Group B comes in. And then after another 30 minutes, Group A comes in. So we have a relaxed discussion all together, where some people in focus, some people are in less focus, for an hour and a half. And then it's 90 minutes for a seminar, becomes much more relaxed, and then the next group. One way of working with a flipped classroom was I provided different ways in which you could pass the course. Sport at track 1, you participated in all the obligatory seminars, and if you did so and you passed the quizzes and stuff, then you could do a group examination if you wanted a simple pass. If you wanted to get a distinction, then you would have to do what in Swedish we call a VG-uppgift. But if a person missed more than one seminar then or two, then they did the traditional final exam. And in my experience, if I had 50 students, 1 or 2 or no people did the final exam, and the attendance at the seminars was excellent. I describe this in-out seminar on my ICT support site, and some of the other things I say are also on these other support sites here. Technology, communication, education, these have all changed dramatically since the internet arrived upon us, and the internet is no longer exotic. It's a utility, a bit like water and electricity. It's something that everybody, at least in a Swedish context, expects it to be able to work.